Okay, Kicksswap, when you are ready, we are ready.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to wish you all a good evening and introduce the sneaker reselling market. The sneaker reselling market started in the mid-80s with the launch of the Jordan brand and has swelled to a whopping $1.1 billion today. It has seen rapid growth in the last 5 years.
Now sneaker collectors, or sneakerheads, are popping up all over the country and lining up by the hundreds outside their local shoe store, just waiting for the next exclusive sneaker to be released. To give you an idea of how big these lines can get, I'd like you to picture the lines you see outside the Apple store in a couple of years when the new iPhone is released, except sneaker lines happen 104 times more often. Now due to an intentional shortage in the supply of these sneakers, an unregulated aftermarket is created where prices can often skyrocket. To give you an example of how drastically these prices can rise, I'd like to point your attention to the Yeezy 350 Low Pirate Blacks, which are a result of a collaboration between Adidas and Kanye West. These shoes came out on February 19th with a retail price of $200. So had you purchased these shoes just 3 months ago, you could either be wearing them during the presentation, or you could have made 500% return on your investment. That's 450% more than Amazon in the same time frame. However, when it comes to actually buying and selling shoes on the aftermarket, many sneakerheads face a lot of the same problems.
Among these similar problems that sneakerheads across the country face, the first and most important is a high seller's fee. Oftentimes when they go to sell their sneakers on these websites, the websites take a large chunk out of the transaction. This can be very costly to the seller's profits. The second problem that sneakerheads face is oftentimes there's a lack of communication between the buyers and sellers. This lack of communication can lead to a difference in information, and this difference in information can lead to many costs on the side of the buyers and sellers. The third problem that occurs in the sneakerhead market is oftentimes people don't know the legitimacy of their shoes. In other words, if a novice sneakerhead goes on a website to buy their shoes, they might not know if it's real or fake just by looking at pictures. And the last problem that arises in the sneakerhead market is that oftentimes people can't keep up with the fluctuations in the sneaker reselling market. The sneaker reselling market works a lot like the stock market where prices fluctuate daily, and oftentimes sellers just can't keep up.
My name is Abbas Josh.
I'm Rikin Patel.
I'm TJ Bashirs.
I'm Priya Shah, and we are Kicksswap. Kicksswap is an intuitive website that offers the best experience for both buyers and sellers, or sneakerheads. Kicksswap enables users to connect with one another, provides them with the latest sneaker news and release dates, and gives them a proper and trustworthy shoe evaluation.
So what's unique about Kicksswap? Number one is our fees. Kicksswap is leading the industry with the lowest seller's fee, which is at 5%. One of our main competitors, Kicksswap, has a seller's fee of 8%, and eBay, which owns 1/4 of the sneaker reselling market, has a seller's fee up to 10%. Number two is our community and news. So we will provide forums and direct messaging on our website. This is also a differentiator because most of our competitors do not have forums and direct messaging. We will also add an interactive forum where the customers can talk to us, Kicksswap, personally, and we can continue to grow and improve due to customer feedback. We will also implement up-to-the-minute release dates on all sneakers, so our customers can be one of the first in line of hundreds, as TJ said. And lastly, there's a shoe price evaluator that we created, and it's a widget that provides the best prices of shoes pertaining to the certain characteristics of the shoe, such as the actual shoe and how much that's worth, and the condition of the shoe, ranging from 1 to 10, and we have an example of that on the next slide.
This is the shoe price evaluator model that we created. As you can see, users can input the shoe brand, the shoe style, and the condition the shoe's in, and then the evaluator will spit out an accurate evaluation of that particular shoe.
Our competition. eBay conquers 25% of the market. eBay has many buyers and sellers, but also has a high seller's fee. The market price displayed can also be inaccurate. eBay has countless pages to scroll through. You can't find a specific shoe, and it's not a website specifically targeted towards sneakers. Our other competitors consist of social media platforms such as Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. These transactions happen in person and through cash. It can be inconvenient for the customer and can also lead to a price increasing on the spot. Our biggest direct competitor is Kicksswap. Kicksswap, however, has no shoe price evaluator and no forum.
So our market sizing. Our total addressable market is $1.1 billion, and the $1.1 billion is the overall sneaker reselling industry in the United States. To narrow that down a little, we added in our seller's fee, which is technically 5%, but after we put in our credit card fees, it reduces to 3.5%. So we took 3.5% of 1.1 billion and got $41,182,500. And out of that 41 million and some change, how much does Kicksswap think they can attain in the first year? So we believe we can get 1 in every 2,000 sellers, which is 0.05%, which gives us a first year revenue of $20,000.
So our customer segment. Our customer segment is predominantly male at 97.6%, with a female population of 2.4%. With our age ranges, our highest age range is from 10 to 17 at 40%. Our second highest age rate is 18 to 22 at 30%. This gives us as a company the advantage as of now because we relate to our customer segment.
All the $500 of funding that we received, we implemented a number of MVP experiments. Number one being our landing page. We created a landing page to give a general overview of Kicksswap, and in just the month of April, we received 1,000 visitors and we are increasing daily. Another way we created traction to our website was we ran a Google AdWords campaign. And in the 1 month that we ran a Google AdWords campaign, we had 619,000 impressions, which led to 457 clicks. That is roughly a 21 cents cost per click ratio. Originally, we were not planning to have a Google AdWords campaign, but since we subscribed to Shopify, it gave us a free $100 credit to Google AdWords. Speaking of Shopify, Shopify is a temporary website we're using at the moment. Shopify is an e-commerce website that allows us to put shoes for sale and allows customers to buy the shoes off us. If we do receive funding, we would like to create a brand new website that can accommodate for all of our UPPs. We have over 5 sellers ranging from 3 different states, and we recently made our first sale. The way these national sellers contact us is through social media. They contacted us through Twitter. Twitter is the dominant social media platform we are using with over 700 followers, and we are posting daily with engaging tweets and posts, which led us to our national sellers. Lastly is our sales force. So we have handed out and posted over 300 flyers that we created, and we also have flyers posted up in our neighboring high schools, such as Hoffman Estates High School and Shelburne High School. And recently, we attended SneakerCon and passed out flyers. SneakerCon is the largest sneaker reselling convention in the United States. Sneakerheads from all over the country come to buy, sell, or even trade their sneakers. So, in addition to passing out flyers, we also ran some problem and solution interviews, and some general topics that displeased the sneakerheads while selling online was they didn't know the legitimacy of the shoes by just looking at the pictures. They didn't trust the sellers because they didn't know them personally. And the big reason was the sellers fee being way too high in places such as eBay and Kicksswap. In fact, some sneakerheads thought the sellers fee was so high, they created their own website just to sell their own shoes.
Our 5-year strategy. In years 1 and 2, we'd like to focus all of our efforts on marketplace awareness, in which we're going to be reinvesting almost all of our gross revenue back into marketing. We plan on marketing on social media sites like Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. In terms of Twitter and Instagram, besides being very active with our followers, we'd like to implement a paid advertising campaign, as these 2 sites still take up a large chunk of the sneaker reselling market. When it comes to YouTube, what we like to do is partner with people who make unboxing videos, which is where they go and they buy a new sneaker and they take it out of the box and give it a review. And then we'd like to pay them to mention us in their videos, saying something along the lines of, I purchased these shoes at Kicksswap, or I plan to be selling these shoes at Kicksswap. And we believe that can generate a lot of buzz, as some of these sneaker unboxers have tens of thousands of subscribers. Going into years 3 and year 4, we want to shift our marketing a little bit by focusing on bringing in new customers. So customers who are new to the sneaker reselling market, rather than customers that are already at our competitors. And then also, we believe we can have a very high retention rate on those customers because our UVPs truly do set us apart. And also going into year 3 and year 4, when we have some money to work with, we'd like to focus on implementing some new revenue streams, such as selling advertising space and also creating our own app. Finally, going into year 5, we plan on dipping our marketing budget a little bit, as we believe we will have already established a presence in the market. And then we'd like to focus on broadening our horizons beyond just sneakers and allowing people to resell other things, such as hats, t-shirts, and sweatshirts.
This is our 5-year financial forecast. As you can see, our revenue and gross profit is exactly the same. This is due to the fact that we have no cost of goods sold and all of our expenses lie in SG&A. In year one, we plan to make a net loss of about $1,000, but we plan to grow to a net profit of about a quarter.
Ticket reselling business goes, and I have a really good friend of mine who's the founder of Tickets Now. He was spending $1 million, over $1 million a month in PPC, pay-per-click. So could you go back to your slide here about where you had your pie chart here? Go back one more. Right there. Oh, go back. So I'm kind of curious. There we go. So you're saying social media marketing, but then you have Google AdWords at 14%.
Yeah.
My guess is that you need eyeballs, and you need a lot of eyeballs in order to make this thing work. And I think that I would suggest you need to rework and rethink what you're doing there. So I maybe need to ask the question, what are you doing with social media marketing as opposed to Google AdWords? Fill me in.
Yeah, so a lot of sneakerheads are already on social media like Twitter and Instagram, and actually a lot of sales are made through there. So we like to get to our target market through there. I mean, Google AdWords worked pretty well for us in the MVP phase, so we'd also like to do that.
Okay, but so if you're doing any kind of, if you're doing anything to try and draw in business, like nothing on the internet is free.
Yeah.
Which brings me back to another thing here too, by the way. You're going to the website first, and I would think that you probably want to go mobile first.
Yeah, well, a lot of our competitors currently have websites, so we're
Okay.
competing with that. And the only one that now has an app, besides eBay, obviously, and then Kicksswap just created their app a couple weeks ago, and version 1.0.
Yeah, but I'm looking at the demographic that you're going after, and it's pretty much people that do this all day.
Yeah,
and
that's
not
correct.
do this.
That's correct.
So I would look at that, and then the other thing here is you said you had eBay up there that was the market. They have a brand, and they spent a lot of money to get that brand. When I looked at your list of competitors, one of them you had was Amazon. Amazon rules the world, along with Google. So, I mean, if they decide to get in, you're out, is really what it comes down to. I've already lost money in a business like this, so I'm like, oh my God, this is what you should do. What's your average order value going to look like?
We've only had one sale, but it was $200.
Okay, all right, that's good. I think your cost per click will go way up, but I don't want to monopolize this. I can talk all day.
I also want to congratulate you. I know what it takes to get here. You had a bunch of competition, and Conan and I, that's my fight nerd would cheer, right? So congratulations. Can you tell me your status, senior, junior, sophomore? What's the makeup of the team?
I'm a senior.
We're all seniors, and then the boss here is
I'm a junior at high school.
Okay, so succession planning. How are you planning on, if you're funded tonight, working on it for next year?
So I'm going to Champaign. He's staying at Harper. She's going to Loyola, and he's obviously going to be here at Kona again. So obviously there's going to be some distance between me and the rest of the team. So what we plan to do is we're going to stay in contact through texting, through our Slack messaging. The Slack's the platform we use for messaging in class, and like obviously calling and FaceTiming. So we plan to stay connected even though we're separated through distance.
Quick question, you mentioned the one sale for $200, and that was the results of your MVP. Could you briefly describe how you ran your MVP and the reactions you received from there?
Yeah, so what we did is we created two separate sites. Actually, we created a landing page, which educated visitors about our site. And then we created a page where people could actually buy the shoes and sell the shoes. So the reason we did that is we wanted to not just track how many people visit our site, but how many people were actually interested and click through to the Shopify page. And then we also did advertising like Google AdWords and passing out flyers to help draw people to that landing page.
So this is going to be a challenge from building user base and building inventory. So you need to have enough users and you need to have enough inventory in order to have selection. One thing that you may want to think about doing is that same exact problem existed with Zappos shoes. Are you familiar with Zappos?
Yes.
So what they did to solve the inventory problem was they just took photographs of virtually every shoe out there. They never even owned the inventory. They didn't even have a potential seller for it. They just fixed that problem by pretending that they had inventory, or a willing seller in your case. You may want to think about that, and then when you get a transaction, somebody asks them to buy that pair of shoes, you figure out how to do what's called a concierge service of going out and sourcing and getting that shoe right away.
Yeah,
So I would highly recommend that. And the way to get the sources, I'm surprised you're not monetizing the 104 lines that you mentioned in your opening pitch. Why aren't you passing out flyers at every one of those? Or I guess they're geographically all over the place. So that as a statement. The big question I have is, it's not that big, don't worry. Why 5% when your competitors are charging significantly more? I'm never a fan of companies that just kind of come in and undercut the competition.
So the reasoning for that is mostly just for our first 2 years. We want to grow as much as we can, and we're not necessarily focused on profits. As long as we're not taking too big of a losses, we just want to make sure we can get as many customers to our site as possible. And by undercutting the price, we believe we can draw more customers in, and then potentially raise the price, not for existing customers, but for new customers to our site.
Great.
I was going to add on to that. I was thinking the same thing, that a lot of people think if they lower the price, the buyers will come. But particularly in your space, I feel like this is a discretionary thing that I think people are not as concerned about spending a few percent more on to get a very unique pair of shoes that nobody else has. The other thought I had too was being Twitter dependent. It sounded like you were really relying heavily on Twitter.
Not necessarily. For our paid advertising, you mean, or just?
Yeah.
No, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. So all three of them equally.
I'd like to play off something Michael was saying here before too. I think if you can set up an affiliate partner program where basically you're buying media, you're buying eyeballs to come to you, and if you can then share that cost on the eyeballs with other people that have inventory, I think that would really make you appear to be a lot bigger. And I think there's ways to do that with affiliate marketing technology. There's share a sale here in Chicago, I think would be a big one. Also one thing to add to Michael too. Again, I'm thinking back to the Tickets Now business. They would be out handing out discounts to everybody they could see, 20% off, 20% off, just to get people to come and see what kind of inventory they had. I mean, I see this as being no different than selling tickets to a concert as opposed to selling shoes. It's a very, very similar type thing.
Yeah, so along with what you mentioned was people not really caring about the seller's fee. From what we gathered at SneakerCon especially, a lot of people were very sensitive to the seller's fee. Like there's a lot of sneaker sellers that created their own sites because they were sick of paying the high seller's fee.
So working out the math, in year one, your revenue was $20,000. And at an average ticket cost, you said you had one sale, but let's just pretend you had $100 worth instead of $200 worth, right? Do you know what the average cost per pair of sneakers is?
Yeah, the average pair of sneakers that gets resold on the market is about $175.
Okay, so if we take that math, that means you're going to have to sell, what, 20-some hundred pairs of sneakers in the first year in order to go ahead and reach that 20,000. So you need both sellers and buyers, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you think that's doable?
We believe so.
Okay, so you're thinking, what was your number? What did you want to hit? How many pairs of sneakers did you want to sell year one?
Well, off of that, what we talked about in terms of clicks, we'd like to get 150,000 visitors, and then obviously turning into $20,000 in revenue.
I think we determined we're trying to get about 2,500 shoes sold on our website. That would lead to the $20,000 mark.
Thanks.
All right, let's have a round of applause.